Welcome to Design Stand-Up, Episode 32, Principles for Designing Better Products, Part 1, by Eugen Eşanu of UX Planet. And I'm Ryan Stone, your host and fellow UX designer. Welcome to the show. If it's your first time listening, here at Design Stand-Up, I'm partnering with top blogs in the design industry to read you well-crafted articles from the best in the biz. My goal is to help you learn about design on the go, so you can spend less time staring at a screen and more time doing what you love. In today's post, Eugen begins to describe his 4 principles for designing better products. So without further ado, let's stand up. Principles for Designing Better Products, Part 1, by Eugen Eşanu of UX Planet. As a general rule, to build something great is not about more hours and resources thrown at a problem, but less bullshit. I tended to believe that with all the technological advancement, we will work less, smarter, and better. But with years, it seems that we add more mass to our process and decision-making, which in the end is reflected on our products or services. We have more and longer meetings, bigger teams, more complicated processes, more time and resources spent. On a yearly basis, we get more management tools and hacks. We preach simplicity, but forget how to build a useful and usable product. We want innovation, but we keep rigid roadmaps that can't be changed. People want to contribute with great ideas, but all they end up doing is pick up another ticket from Jira. And with all that, we get more and more waste. But there is a better way of designing and building, one which has less mass. Recently, I had the pleasure to finish another book by the guys from Basecamp. It doesn't have to be crazy at work, in which they share a lot of practical and mentally sane knowledge and practical advice on how to run a company, manage a product and teams, and other details. The way they build Basecamp can be an excellent example for anyone aspiring to create a good product and company. I personally share a lot of their philosophy, and their book is a great reminder of how to design a great product. Here are 4 principles we can all use to design, manage, and build better products. Principle number 1, think an idea through. Usually, when people come up with new ideas, in our case for a product, they schedule a meeting, invite the decision makers, present the idea, and if nobody interrupts that person along the way in the first 2 minutes and everybody gets super excited about the idea, then they will work on it. But it is not always the case. Usually, someone jumps in the first minutes and lets everybody know why the idea will never work. And that's the problem. A better way to go about it is to, first, always before the meeting, have your idea written down on paper. This way you can structure it so it's clear. Then you share it with the entire team before the meeting for it to be considered. No feedback, no reactions, only considered. So people can take time and think it through. Then, when the meeting happens, nobody interrupts the presenter. And when it ends, people can take the floor and give constructive feedback. Feedback that guides the person or builds upon what was said and not one which kills the idea. And then, after the meeting, you take time, a couple of days or weeks, you choose, and think it through. This way, you take actual time to process what was said and discussed. Well, why not do it directly during the meeting and save some time? When you gather all together and discuss the idea, you can't say that you think individually. It will most likely end up in a debate in which everyone tries to defend its own piece of the pie. So, taking time and thinking it through alone is the best way to go. Brain Trust by Pixar. This approach is similar to Brain Trust, used by Pixar. Brain Trust is a type of meeting run by Pixar when they work on a new movie, the goal of which is to leave aside your roles and during it offer guiding feedback to the person who is presenting the idea, rather than killing it with criticism on why it will not work. Or, better said, Brain Trust is a meeting in which everybody shares their perspective with the scope to broaden the one of who's presenting. The goal is to look at different points of views and enrich yours. During the meeting, there is no authority. This is important because the person who is in charge of the project or meeting does not have to follow the feedback. After a Brain Trust meeting, it is up to him or her to figure out what to do next. These meetings are not top-down or do this or that. By removing the authority from Brain Trust meetings, you give people the flexibility to be creative. During a Brain Trust meeting, Pixar doesn't want to be prescriptive, but offer honesty and in-depth analysis. Brain Trust is benevolent. It wants to help, and it has no selfish agenda. But in a typical meeting with a competitive environment, you would generally compare your idea against others, turning the discussion into a debate that must be won or lost. Principle number 2, a team of 3. A great approach at Basecamp is doing product work in a team of 3, which is usually made up of 2 programmers and 1 designer. This way, you have less mass to your decision-making process. The benefits to this type of approach are countless, beginning with the fact that the less people you have on the team, the more involved they will be. You will spend less time on miscommunication and meetings, make faster decisions, and spend less resources. And it does not matter if you are a startup or a multi-billion corporation. A team of 3 can be done at any size. The approach of working in 3 was applied not only by the guys from Basecamp, but also by those from Nike. For example, in the article, Why Small Teams Win and Bigger Ones Fail, I gave the example of how one of the best Nike products were created in a team of 3. Nike's HTM. HTM is the name of Nike's experimental design project launched in 2002. HTM takes its initials from the first names of its 3 collaborators, Hiroshi Fujiwara, Tinker Hatfield, and Nike CEO and designer Mark Parker. What was the role of HTM? 3 designers and the primary decision maker got into a room, left aside their daily routines, and worked on the reinterpretation of existing product designs to the development of new ones. This is also a fantastic example of how designers can work together with the CEO of a company rather than just receive orders on what to do. Working only in 3 allowed them to have all the time in the world and an accelerated production process, which is impossible to realize with a standard company process. The quick pace from development to release is otherwise unthinkable for an enterprise of Nike scale. Well, what if you want to work with 4 or 5 people? Hear that in our next episode. You just listened to the post titled Principles of Designing Better Products, Part 1 by Eugen Eşanu of UX Planet. If you want to learn more about Eugen and read some of his other amazing design articles, just press the link in the show notes below or head over to UX Planet at uxplanet.org. Oh, and before you go, don't forget to check out the brand new Design Standup group on LinkedIn, where you can connect and learn from designers across the globe, chat about the latest episodes, and much more. You can find a link in the show notes below, or just search Design Standup on LinkedIn's website or app. Well, that's all I have for you today, guys. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, fill up those coffees, turn up those tunes, and let's design a better world.